What's up, Lemonheads? Welcome to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. I am Crystal, the co-founder and lead strategist at Lemon Seed Marketing. And guys, listen, if you have talked to me for any amount of time, going on 3 or 4 years now with the podcast, you guys know that y'all wear me out chasing the silver bullet of marketing. Well, today we kind of have a little magic wand for marketing, so I can't wait for you to hear it. So get on your treadmill, start your walk, put your AirPods in, or turn your radio up in your car, and let's sip some lemonade. All right, guys, I'm really excited for this. I was scrolling through my inbox one day and I had this cold outreach from basically kind of like a promoter. And I read this email and it's like, this guy has a magician's background and now he runs an internet or has a big part in an internet agency. And I was like, hang on just a minute. So Jimmy, this has a really cool story, something about magic and internet, but I'm here for it. So introduce yourself to my listeners and tell them, why should they listen to what you have to say? What makes you an expert in marketing today?
Crystal, I'm excited to be here. I love all the ties back to lemon heads and lemonade. And I remember those candies when I was a little kid and all good stuff. So yeah, I have an interesting background. I was very interested in magic as a kid. I was digging through some boxes a couple of years ago and I found a little membership card to Merlin's Mail Order Magic Club. And
Oh, how fun.
oh yeah, I flipped over the card and I started doing the math and I was like 4 years old and I went, that is crazy early to get interested in something like that. And so, yeah, I did magic shows through elementary school and middle school. My friends' parents were paying me to entertain my friends at their birthday parties, which I was like, hey, there's something to this. And then I started working for an ad agency in high school, representing a Fortune 100 brand that we've all heard of. And that relationship lasted about another 16 years. And I guess hanging out at the ad agency and seeing the creative team and, just sort of listening in on some of their meetings, I was like, you know what? If there was ever a profession that mimicked magic, I think it would be marketing because it's all about capturing attention. It's activating curiosity. It's, there's some sort of conversion or the climax of the illusion. And so, yeah, that's how I transitioned from magic into marketing. I still do shows today. I've performed in quite a few places. I ran my own theater. But I would say the principles of magic can be deconstructed to work for a marketing message. And yeah, love to jump in and we can go wherever you want to go.
I'm low-key obsessed. So I have two sons. One is about to be 19 and one just turned 16.
Yeah.
But my 16-year-old was quite the performer as a little kid. So it reminds me, like he was 4 or 5 years old and, he would be trying, this is back in the day we had YouTube. So, but he was always trying to learn a card trick or, a disappearing trick and things like that because he was fascinated with magic. So I love this concept of the play off of magic and marketing because listen, honestly, when you get the right tactics together, it does create magic. And you're like, man, until somebody figures out the secret and then you got to go back and rebuild your magic. So I totally understand how that works and how that applies to marketing. So I thought we could just jump right in with, again, heavy on the puns today, Jimmy, but if you had a magic wand for marketing, what would you fix first for marketing overall? And I told you earlier I would go first to give you my opinion because I want to see yours. I do sincerely wish that I could wave a magic wand and all of someone's marketing strategy for the entire year be perfectly planned out with no need to pivot. And we just hit play and that record plays consistently all year long with no need to pivot. So I really wish that I had a magic wand to fix all of the issues and make it not where you have to constantly be moving the pieces. What about you?
I love yours. So I would say we'll add on to that. One of the things that I would love to be able to wave my magic wand is a business owner and their team to understand that the passion that they have for the business and helping out in their community is their magic power. and they need to be able to express exactly who they are, what they're about, and why they're doing what they do. I think we get into this weird business language kind of thing when we talk about marketing, but really what people are interested in is what makes you tick. I had a TEDx talk that was about you have magic power, use it for good. There's a concept in there that everybody has their abracadabra. And maybe we'll, put a link in the show notes related to the TEDx talk. And yeah, I would just love to wave my magic wand and give those business owners appreciation, not only for themselves and what they bring to the business, but their team members, and be able to communicate that in a way that people would be drawn to that organization.
I love that. I'm a huge culture person because I believe without a good culture, it's hard to have a really good brand.
Yep.
It's hard to bring something to life that's not authentic and true. And honestly, I can see a lot of turmoil in people sometimes when they're really doing the right things. They just do not have the right culture. And that's a buzzkill for sure. Well, contractors especially, I'm in the home service space. So contractors especially, they're always attracted to the shiny objects. And so anytime a new marketing structure come along or new marketing product comes along, or
Yep.
one person gets on social media and says, my gosh, this changed my business, we tend to, bite that hook every single time, hoping for what I would call a silver bullet
Mm,
or a magic fix. And, marketing feels a lot of times like, man, I'm always behind. So let me jump on the newest trend. Because that's what's cool. And I want to be cool and I want to be forward thinking. But instead of drawing their own conclusions, I think sometimes we jump in just hoping for the silver bullet.
yeah, I think we're using this magic metaphor because that's what people gravitate towards. I mean, we hear it all the time. Can't you just wave your magic wand and make that disappear or make that appear? And, there is this idea um, related to the next big thing is going to save it. Now, what is that? That's about the hope, right? The hope that things are going to change. But if we understand that there are some basic principles, and I would say magic has been around forever. If we really want to create that wow, there are just some basic things that we can do. And a couple of things that people can do, and I have a framework that I'd be happy to share. Someone asked me a couple of years ago, like, honestly, can magic really affect a marketing message? And so I deconstructed exactly the sequence that happens in a magic trick and applied that to a marketing message that can work for social media. It can work for email. It can work for a blog post. It can work for just about anything. I've had a hard time figuring out how to break it. So yeah, I'd be happy to share that. And then once you get that messaging sequence down, I think that's where certainly all these tools, and I know there are a lot of AI tools out there now, and we'll probably get into a conversation about that. But I think it has to start with the basic structure and the architecture of what you're trying to communicate.
Yeah, so a messaging issue, like making
Right.
sure. And again, messaging, Lemon Seed spends a lot of time on messaging because it's how you are going to position yourself in the market. So, like, are you the affordable option? Are you the high end option? Are you an option that's family friendly, traditional? I mean, there's multiple ways to write messaging. So I love the messaging idea. And at the end of this episode, Jimmy's going to tell you how you can get in contact with him to get support on that checklist that he has. But you mentioned AI, so I can't help but come to it. I
Sure.
can't help it, right? So, you mentioned something earlier to me about, an absent owner and things like that. And I just want to say AI has a grip on our industry right now to where people are trying to figure it out. And I can't decide if they're excited or exhausted from there's so much content coming out and so many opinions on AI where people are just kind of bickering one after the other. I'm of the school that as a marketer, it's exciting to me to have different things,
Right.
new ways to reach people. So I look at AI as an opportunity. It doesn't make me panic. But tell me a little bit, like, if you can expand on, I think you made a comment about, an absent owner. I loved that comment and I thought we could just kind of expand on that.
Sure. Yeah. One of the things that we're seeing, and it goes really back to Google had an acronym in about 2016 called EAT, and they expanded it to EEAT. And that acronym stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And so these AI models have picked up on that, and they're trying to sort through all of the stuff that's out there and who is demonstrating expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness. And so we'll just use ChatGPT as an example. When people have that easy button or that magic wand and they put a prompt into ChatGPT and they're trying to write a website, they're trying to write a blog post, they're trying to write a social media post, there's a lot of garbage out there, and that garbage pile is getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day. And the reason why those types of pieces of content are not valuable is because they don't demonstrate the struggles, the heartaches, the bruises, the bumps, the champagne toast that happen during the process of running a business. And reviews are even more important now. So we talk about trustworthiness.
Yep.
One of the interesting things that we are tracking is when an owner shows up in a conversation online, these AI models and Google AI mode and Google loves it because that is experience, authority, expertise. So it hits on a lot of those. And trustworthiness, how long have you been in the business? What are your customer reviews? Do they mention you specifically? Search Engine Journal, which some of the audience may be familiar with, did a study, and they said that owners, founders, CEOs, executives who post 10 times a year, not a month, a year,
Wow.
on LinkedIn generate 33% more leads and higher deal value than those who don't. If you post 10% more on social media, your revenue will increase by 1.5% or an average of $43,000 per location if you're in a local home service business. And so I'm not telling every owner, every founder, if you're a franchise owner, if you're a franchisee. I was speaking with a CMO of a very large conglomerate of franchises, and she was new to the organization. She said the first thing that she was going to do was put together a personal branding playbook for every franchisee because they've seen referrals increase 30% when people are involved in a conversation. So you don't have to be a TikTok dancer. You don't have to be an influencer. You just have to talk about
your product
things, your product or service, and put that into the mix of what you're doing, and you will see real dollar return because these AI models are citing people, not logos, and they're desperately trying to find people that have something valuable to say.
I love this. So I wish I could I'm going to blast that message because here's why. So first of all, most home service contractors, you know what they want to do? Hide.
Oh, yeah.
So they don't want to be the face, the name, all that, just for different reasons, which, but at the end of the day, you need to have a public face that is the face of your company that's going to talk and engage. And listen, some of you are already you're mentally exhausted. You're like, I'm not doing it. And it doesn't have to be you. I'm going to tell you, it would behoove you if it was you. But even me, so for Lemon Seed, I put out tons of content. This podcast, we do webinars, we do social media lives, we put out newsletters, we put out all types of content everywhere we can. We're writing for publications because we want people to know that we know what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And people don't always know how to just you got to put yourself out there a little bit. And so, building authority in your space is so important. It doesn't matter if you do sprinklers, pest control, roofing, HVAC, plumbing, solar, generators. It does not matter. Swimming pools, landscape. I mean, I could just keep going on and on. You have to establish yourself as a local authority. And you do that through basically teaching yourself and, to be honest, your own ChatGPT, your Perplexity, your Claude to think like you and speak like you. And honestly, it's almost making a double of you. So like right now, I can utilize ChatGPT and say, hey, knowing what you know about me, what are 3 topics I could talk about today? and utilizing that. But you have to be, and I can't care more about your business as your CMO than you care about it as the owner.
Absolutely. And
Meaning time investment and things like that.
I'll give you 5 easy ways to create content that will probably get you through 2 years of content. And, as a magician, I was trying to think of a framework that people could use and carry around with them every day. So
Okay.
for those of y'all listening, I'm holding up my left hand. For those of you watching, you can see it starts with the pinky. What is that pinky promise? You remember that from the schoolyard as a
Oh
kid? You didn't
yeah.
break that pinky promise.
Yeah.
So what are you promising your customer that you're going to deliver? What are you promising your team? What are you promising that you will do whatever it takes to fulfill that promise, and you can be held accountable to it? And so there are a variety of things that you can do related to your pinky promise and the promise that you are putting out there. Do you have a guarantee? Do you have risk reversal? What is it that you're going to stake your business on? The next one is the ring finger. And, most of us know that as wearing a wedding band. There was a legend that there was a vein that ran from that finger all the way to your heart. It's called the venus amoris. That was actually disproven, but hey, it's still a good story.
Sounds good.
And so what is that passion that you're bringing, right? And so for those of you who are married or thinking about getting married, you remember those early days of going through that courtship process. And then the relationship, what are you committing to? Are you in this for the long haul? How long do your customers stay with you? What are you doing to provide value to your customers over the long term? My wife and I just celebrated 20 years of marriage. That
Oh,
is
amazing.
for a long haul, right?
Yeah.
And so the next one is the middle finger. And so for those of you listening, I'm not putting my middle finger up at Crystal. I've got all my fingers up. But the middle finger is often interpreted as being vulgar. It's actually a symbol of defiance. And so who is your enemy? Who is the villain of your brand? And so it could be a company, it could be an ideology, it could be a variety of things. It could be a behavior. If you don't name your villain, then you have nothing to gather your team around, and you have nothing to talk to your customers about. If you truly believe that you provide the best product and service, then you need to save them from that villain. The next one is the pointy finger. And I use the pointy finger because you use it to point directly at someone. If you don't know who your ideal customer is, how are you going to talk to them in their language? How are they going to go, hey, you're talking about me? So the pointy finger is very important. And then once you've pointed to that person, you need to turn your hand over and beckon them in and invite them in to what you have to offer. The last one is the thumb. The thumb is the universal symbol for thumbs up. So what is a success? You see these memes, do this, don't do that. Well, how can you communicate that to your prospects or your ideal clients? For a dashboard for deciding if something is working in your business, it should be a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It shouldn't be some wishy-washy little thing in the middle. And then the last one is your thumbprint. What thumbprint are you leaving on your community by the fact that you have this business? What thumbprint are you leaving on your customers by the fact that they engage with you? What thumbprint are you leaving on the team that you have that's helping you through this process? That's unique to you. That's unique to your business. And so whenever you're stuck for a story, just look at your hand, pick one of those fingers, and you've probably got 50 stories that you can tell. So that's a real easy way to be able to start the process.
Okay, I love this. So I want to recap and make sure I got it right because I love this. So pinky promise I love is, what is your promise? And so if I was using this to make content, I would say, okay, what is my promise as Yellow Bear Air, Yellow Bear Heating and Air? What is my promise? Or Spot On Pest Control. My promise is to, deliver service 24/7, or, I'm able to, stop all rodents or whatever those things. But think deeper than just services. Like, what is your promise to homeowners? And then the second one is your ring finger. So I wrote, what are you married to?
Yeah.
And you said, what are you committed to? Like, and it did remind me, like, I say this, and you brought it up when you talked about courtship for that ring finger. What earns you that girlfriend or boyfriend is what it probably takes to keep that girlfriend or boyfriend, right? So same thing. This is why I give this conversation to a lot of people because I want them to know this. Anytime you start doing marketing, your competitors are like, oh, shoot, we should do something. They're doing something. Let's start doing something. The problem is they won't keep it up. So you need to be courting new customers with content and not give up. It's a never ending cycle. You should always be doing it because other people are going to get divorced, right?
Oh, yeah.
They
And they're gonna
won't
be
stay
looking for
committed.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
their
they won't,
dream. Yeah.
they just won't stay committed. They won't stay dedicated. They want to jump ship too soon. So I loved that one too. The middle finger is like, who is your villain? Which, that's hilarious. But also, like, I use that as like, what are your threats?
Yeah.
Right. So for me, for Lemon Seed, I could probably say, like, do you feel like your marketing is super disorganized and you're wasting money on not optimized ad spend? Is your brand unrecognizable and memorable in the market? We could work through
Yeah,
a
because
lot
that
of that.
villain is the villain of wasted money and frivolous spending.
Yeah, wasted money, wasted time,
Yeah.
and lack of momentum. And then your pointer finger, we love an ideal customer. One of the first things we do when you onboard with Lemon Seed Marketing is an audit of your ideal avatar. We create it, we give them a persona, we tell you what they drive. I mean, we create
Mhm.
this whole ideal avatar concept for you. Takes a
That's
lot of
awesome.
time, but it's super impactful because what it does is everybody's pointing at the same person with their
Mhm.
pointer finger. And so then when I write content and when I do podcast episodes, I'm talking to that person. And
Yep.
so that's super helpful. Love that. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Like I wrote that. And then, just I attribute that to things. When I look at it, I just think of like, what is good and what is going wrong. Where do I need to pivot? I look at those things, but my favorite part was your thumbprint. Like, what are you leaving? That's true brand. Your
Mhm.
thumbprint is true brand, not your logo, not your truck wrap, not how pretty your website is, not that you have the coolest uniforms, and not that you scream the loudest on social media. Your brand is literally your thumbprint. What are you leaving on the community, on your team, on your customers that make them know that they are appreciated and that really infiltrates people for them to know who you are. So I'm obsessed with these 5 easy ways from my left hand. Loved that analogy. It was perfect. So, Jimmy, as we get ready to wrap this up, I wanted to ask you something. You deal with marketing all the time, and you know the importance of having strategy and a brand. If you knew that all of our listeners were pretty new in business, but they were aggressively wanting to grow their marketing, like what is some advice you would give to new business owners that are trying to grow and build their brand, their companies?
Yeah, and so you mentioned a variety of types of businesses, and I would say, especially, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most of them are home service related.
Yep.
And there is a lot of confusion out there as to what to do and what not to do. And um, obviously, if you work with Lemon Seed, they're going to guide you in the right direction. Um, and I think there's a tendency to try to do too many things all at once.
Yes.
And the advice I would give is how can you communicate best? And that's different for every business, right? And so you might hear that, and last year video was a huge amount of content. 82% of all web content was video related. But if you don't know anything about video, then you need to find somebody to help you. And so I would say seek the advice of experts, pick a few things to pursue, and expect return on whatever that is. And every dollar should have some job that it needs to do. And if it's not doing that job, then figure out where you can invest that money that it will do the job. And so when we talk about digital marketing, there's a huge mix, right? There's SEO, there's paid social, there's PPC, there's all of these acronyms. And if you're just getting started out, there's probably some things that you can do. And you mentioned it earlier, Crystal, is being local in your market and knowing how to be the go-to person in that market. And so some very basic things are Google business profile, right? Making sure that people can find you. There's various location signals that Google and these AI models love. The biggest advice that I can give is get out there, stop being so focused on the day-to-day work and be in your community, sponsor an organization, try to partner with some other local business that y'all can co-brand. The more you're out there in the business, the more referrals you're going to get. If you have a passion for some sort of nonprofit, get involved in that nonprofit. You would not believe what that can do for the culture of your business, for the visibility of your business, and for the citations that'll come from that.
Back in 2014, thank you for that. Back in 2014, when my brother brought me on to be the basically chief marketing officer for our family's heating and air conditioning and plumbing company, one of the first things I did was a guerrilla marketing style approach. Because let me tell you why. Everybody can go buy digital ads. Everyone can go get a website. Everyone can post on social media. But again, back to that lazy side, I knew that I had the energy and the hustle to outwork my competitors.
Nice.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to be everywhere that people were. And I wanted to shake hands and kiss babies and pet dogs. Okay. That's because that was relationship building. That was brand building. Again, I still had all the paid advertising tactics going on. That was still happening, but I was doing my best to become the most recognizable heating and air conditioning company in East Texas. That's what I worked to do. And that was not easy. It's not super measurable. It was hot. Things were heavy. People were irritating, but I was there or our company was there. And honestly, our team loved to go participate. They loved to do cool things. We took a whole half day, took all like 60 of our employees, and we worked on Habitat for Humanity. Habitat for Humanity. I took my lemon seed team one day just to go work in the food kitchen, the food pantry. And my team loved it. They loved it. The McWilliams team loved it. And so that is so powerful to me about get out there. Listen, you can do, my advice to new people is to do this. You mentioned it. You need to have a strong digital footprint and you need to have a good brand. Everything else comes second, right? Everything else comes next. So get on social media, get out in the public and get a digital footprint going. When digital footprint, website, Google business profile, and maybe Google local service ads or something like that. That's where you need to start. And you need to start there and you need to you've got to be the hustler. You don't have money to be anything else. You got to be a hustler, right? So once you get in there and start hustling and building your company, then as your revenue increases, your marketing spend increases, and you can allocate more dollars to then go get more leads. But start where you are. Stop trying to be a $5 million company when you're at less than $1 million, and own your spot and build strategically and intentionally. So listen, Jimmy, this has been fantastic. I'm obsessed with all of this fun knowledge that you left with us today. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you about what services you provide, how do they do that? How do they go about reaching out to you?
Yeah, sure. Well, the agency website is thriveagency.com. We've been around for 20 years, so lots of good information on that website. And then I post on LinkedIn just about every day, Monday through Friday. Would love for people to engage with me if they have a follow-up question. Happy to do that. I post a lot about, just educational things that would help somebody grow their business. My first name's spelled a little bit strange. It's Jimmy, Jimi, Gibson. Would love to connect with people on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so we'll do our best to have all of this in the show notes and in our social media post about Jimmy. And so again, Jimmy, I'm so glad I stopped to read that about you. You are so kind, and I think you are so giving with your content. I really appreciate it. And so, listen, for those of you that are listening, we hope you walk away today with at least those 5 things that you can do to create content. Get out there, get in your community, learn some AI, let AI learn you. But, there is a magic wand for marketing, and it's called consistency. And it's called putting yourself out there. So, I hope that you wave that magic wand this year. 2026 is your year to be consistent with your marketing. If Lemon Tea can help you build a strategy or build a brand, please let us know. We're certainly here to talk you through it. And again, guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of From the Yellow Chair. Please leave us a review, like, and share us on social to someone that you think could benefit from hearing our content. So thanks again, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.